All right, welcome to the first episode of what I'm going to call the overnight hours. Obviously, it is not the most original name in the world, or maybe the overnight sessions. I'm gonna let you guys decide that overnight sessions or overnight hours. I'm kind of in between both, but obviously not the most original name in the world, but I'm gonna stick to it. I spent a ton of money on this setup for you guys that isn't even really the best. I got a new monitor, new PC. This is the mic, the same mic I've been having, but I got a green screen in the background, if you guys couldn't yet tell, which doesn't really matter because the quality of my webcam is not the best, and the quality of my green screen is not the best, so it didn't really end up mattering in the end. But I was kind of in between doing the green screen or just actually having a display of like cool little merch and whatnot for you guys, but I decided to just go ahead and try out the green screen. But I probably will end up changing that up. But this is episode 1, so it's only going to get better from here. And this is not actually the very first recording of the first episode. So I did actually have a video that I recorded for an hour straight talking about what we're going to talk about today, which is like gold, silver, Nike, the stock market, etc. But unfortunately, I was having some technical difficulties, so I literally just talked for an hour straight with nobody listening. And actually, the same thing happened earlier today. I tried to start this recording, and I didn't realize that my mic was muted, so I basically just talked into nothingness. But finally, my mic is not muted. I think the audio is working. So we're just going to go ahead and get this started. I don't know what this is going to end up becoming, whether it's a podcast or some sort of live stream or just regular YouTube videos. But I got tired of my old setup with the iPhone setup with the microphone connected to it. So I'm trying to mix it up for you guys and for myself. But I am dripped out in Nike, of course, the theme of today's video. I've got the Burberry shades though. I don't have Burberry in my Robinhood account anymore. I might actually get back into it. I'm not 100% yet. But I do have the Robinhood hat that you guys can barely see because the video or the face cam is not the best quality, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the first episode is starting now. But the first thing we're going to talk about is actually silver. And it's going to be the first thing I talk about because I honestly don't really care about silver. And that's kind of how I've always been. Anytime there's not just an asset, but any topic that is trending, viral, that everybody just seems to be into, I'm always like the contrarian, right? I always like things when nobody really likes them, the underdogs, whatever. Just kind of like the low key, whether it be clothing brands or like music artists or whatever, fill in the blank. I always like things when nobody else is really talking about them. And then once that hype starts building up, or like maybe a YouTuber will start getting a little bit too big, I just kind of, I'm not really that interested anymore. And I don't really do it on purpose. It's just something that I've noticed about myself. But silver is one of those things. So for any of you guys that are brand new to the market, back during this time period, not this time period, but I want to say 2021, 2022, possibly, there was talks in the retail community of a silver short squeeze, which is basically what we're seeing right now. But like during this time period, people were saying that silver was going to have a short squeeze, and this was after the hype with GameStop, AMC. So retail traders were starting to become familiar with the whole idea of short squeezes, and they were looking for their next target, and their next target was the silver market. But obviously they were a little bit too early to the trade. The short squeeze started picking up this year. Switch back over to the daily. So this year, the short squeeze started to pick up closer to the later half of this year. And I just find that very interesting because like right now, everybody's hyped up about silver. posting about it, trying to get their hands on as much physical silver as possible. But I think this is a very bad sign because I've been seeing not just people on X, but boomers, specifically boomers. They're like, it's almost like they're scrambling to get their hands on silver and physical gold and jewelry, and they think it's just going to keep going up. And it's just, I'm a little bit, disinterested in silver and a little bit cautious around it. I do own a little bit of silver in an undisclosed location. I picked up like when a silver was like $30, like 25, between 20 and $30. I was stacking up a little bit of silver, but then, it was only a little bit, and it was like, what am I going to do with this small stash of silver anyway? So I just kind of forgot about it, stashed it somewhere. But yes, I do have a little bit of physical silver that I don't plan on selling even after this big move because, like I said, I don't really care about it. It's such a small amount. It's not going to change my life or anything. And it's honestly a hassle to just try to find somewhere to sell it. But I just thought it was very interesting that retail was early to this silver short squeeze by a few years. And it's finally happening, and now boomers are going crazy. So you guys can do what you want, but me personally, I'm going to kind of stay away from silver. And another thing that I noticed that was kind of crazy, last week, I believe the implied volatility for SLV, which is the silver ETF, was in the 70s. And for comparison, Robinhood, which is a very volatile stock, the implied volatility on that is 56%. Right, so silver, SLV, the ETF for silver, is at around 65, 66%. So it's more volatile than Robinhood, which is a very volatile stock. So just keep that in mind. And last week it was in the 70s. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. Any of you guys, if any of you guys are actually scrambling to try and buy some silver, maybe we'll see a move from 73 to 100, but why it doesn't really. Let me show you guys something about silver's history, right? So if you noticed, silver has had a lot of these time periods where they will go up a lot and then just completely crash. Right now, obviously, this doesn't seem like a crash because the prices were so low back then. But if you look here, 2008, it went from slightly over 20 all the way down to 850, right? So that's a huge crash for anybody that was trying to stack a lot of money in silver. Back here, 2011, silver was about $50 an ounce, completely crashed, and it hit a low of almost $13, somewhere around there, $14. And then it crashed even more again in 2020. So literally, if you bought silver, right, in 2011 for $50, in 2020, almost 10 years later, 9 years later, it completely crashed to $12, $11. So your $50 silver was now worth $12 in almost 9 years, which is atrocious, right? Because think about the stock market's performance during that time period, coming out of the GFC, right? The Great Financial Crisis, when stocks were, in 2011, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think stocks were consolidating for that big move. And then obviously going into 2019, 2020, we saw that short-term correction with the pandemic, but quickly we recovered from that. And if your money was in silver, well, then you missed out on a huge run. So keep that in mind. Silver can have these big runs like this, but it can easily come right back down to $30 an ounce, especially if, supply, the global supply of silver goes up. It can easily go back down to 30. So it's just not a risk that I'm willing to take, buying silver at 73, trying to milk it to 90, for maybe a $20 profit, when you could just as easily lose half of your value in USD, right? Your USD value in silver. So it's just not really a trade that I'm willing to take right now. But another indicator that I wanted to show you guys here is the JM Bullion Fear and Greed Index for gold. And it's actually on greed right now. For some comparison, if we go over to the CNN Fear and Greed Index, gold was on greed right now at 77. Fear and Greed Index for the CNN version for the stock market is sitting at about 49, so neutral. So keep that in mind, guys. This is a physical metal that is very important, right? Gold and silver are very important metals, but at the end of the day, it's not going to pay you a dividend. It's not going to pay you rent. It's not going to employ people and give people jobs, right? It's not going to pay your mortgage. It's just a brick, right? I mean, there's a picture of gold right here. It's literally just a metal. Like I said, it's very important, but it's not really a trade that I'm willing to take. Even if you buy QQQ, the index, right now, and stocks go down 20%, at the end of the day, you still own a productive asset, right? You own a basket of companies that employ people, that innovate, create products, that actually change the world and try to progress humanity and technology, right? And obviously, they need gold and silver to do that, to make some of those products. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think it's worth risking your money in silver right now. It's just my personal opinion. But one of the things, but moving on from silver, I wanted to talk about Nike stock specifically. And I'm a little bit more excited about this, like I said, because whenever there's a ton of excitement in something like silver, I'm disinterested in it. But whenever there's almost no excitement for a company or an asset like Nike, I tend to be a little bit more excited when I see an opportunity. Okay, there's a bunch of sirens outside, but it is what it is. I guess I just live in the hood. But what I wanted to show you guys today was a YouTuber. You guys can see right here, Elliot Page. He has almost 1 million subscribers. He's 200K away, and I don't think me showing him on my video is gonna get him any more subscribers. But the reason why I want to show him specifically, instead of showing you guys a whole bunch of Wall Streeters going on CNBC, going on Bloomberg, giving their take on Nike, or showing you guys a bunch of fancy Excel spreadsheets and people's price targets on Nike, on X and whatnot, that's all cool. And obviously fundamentals, technicals, all of those are important as well. But another thing that I found to be just as important was the, social networking side, or just like the cultural impact, if that makes any sense. So some examples of this, obviously Robinhood. Back when I was buying Robinhood at $10 a share, I saw the fundamentals, the technicals, and the excitement around the company pick up. So fundamentally, I thought they were very cheap. Price to book was around 10. The stock was around 10. And I think the free cash flow yield was around 10%. And also technically, it was making a huge base, right? Accumulating. It was a period of accumulation. But also the company itself was increasing their actual product. They were innovating, right? They were increasing the value of their gold program, their Robinhood Gold subscription, right? And I think Robinhood Gold, the price of it actually went down, because the annual price of it right now is $50. So the price of gold went down, but the value went up. So there was a ton of excitement. They were increasing their product value. So everything was just lining up. The stars were lining up. And obviously Robinhood did very well for me. Another example of this is Tesla. So fundamentally, they were improving. Technically, on the charts, I never really traded Tesla too much, so I can't really just come off come up with examples off the top of my head, but obviously had a huge cultural impact, societal impact. So those are just some examples. But Elliot Page, he is a YouTuber that is mostly in the fashion and shoe footwear space. So he is not somebody that covers the stock market and companies. He is somebody that covers like the cultural side of it, right? He covers fashion trends. He covers new shoes coming out and he reviews them. He's very knowledgeable with clothing and shoes. So his opinion, I think, is just as, if not more important, as a lot of these Wall Streeters. But I will just go ahead and play the video.
All right, guys, it is time for our annual meeting where we go over the best and worst sneaker trends for the year ahead. And we need to lock in because 2026 is simultaneously one of the most exciting, but also one of the strangest years I've seen. So let's hop in, and I want to start off with one of the bigger trends that happened this year, but I think it's only going to get bigger next year. And that is sport casual sneakers. Now, I kind of just made that name up. I don't think anybody actually coined what this trend is. Maybe it'll catch on. But I'm talking about shoes that are sport specific, that have been adapted by brands to be worn casually for lifestyle wear. Now, we've seen this done heavily in the football category. Adidas has been throwing their F50 football boot into so many different casual midsoles, making it a lifestyle sneaker. Nike has been doing it with the T90 model heavily. And of course, there's been luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, but they kind of did like full-blown football boots. Now, not only has this trend been huge, I mean, you guys remember boots-only summer that took over, but next year is, of course, the World Cup, which will actually be taking place in America, which is why so many brands are kind of catering towards this whole football trend, not only just in sneakers, but that translates to general fashion as well. That's a main big factor of why it's only going to get bigger next year. But also, we've seen a bunch of leaks and rumors of different upcoming models that kind of follow this trend as well. Nike is going to be launching their Cryo Shot sneaker, not only as a GR model, but have a bunch of different collaborations in the works, like with Palace. There might be a Cortez one, and then, of course, more recently, the Off-White or now Virgil Abloh collaboration that's happening next year as well. So expect to see a lot more football sneakers. Now, another big one in this category is F1 or motorsports themed sneakers. Puma has kind of been the leader in this space, and obviously F1 is getting more and more popular and has trickled into fashion sneakers. It makes sense for Puma for sure because their heritage lies in a lot of motorsports. So it's kind of been cool to see them being able to utilize that heritage in a trend that's been happening. Overall, I actually don't mind this trend. It's not personally one for me because a lot of the sneakers tend to be a little bit less comfortable. They're also very low profile and slender, which is usually my thing. But it's creative, it's fun, it's cool. I give this one a pass. Now, switching lanes for a minute, talking about probably one of the biggest brands, Jordan brand. So this one's actually pretty interesting.
All right, so coming off of the first topic he was covering right there, big thing was, I believe he mentioned FIFA. What was it? The World Cup that's going to be in America. And one of the trends that he's saying is like more shoes that were have traditionally been for sports related activities becoming more casually worn, right? So obviously that benefits companies like Nike, Adidas, etc., companies that make sportswear, but people are starting to wear them more casually, so it is good for them.
So in 2025, huge trend specifically for Jordan has been just pumping out retros. As we all know, I don't really need to tell you, but 2025 has been one of the most incredible years for sneakers in general. And a big part of that has been all of the retros that Jordan has been doing. Undefeated Force, Black Metallic 5s. There is literally, I'm not even going to bother naming them all. There's so many, it's crazy. But mixed in with all of those retros, some of you guys may not have even been paying attention to this, but Jordan Brand has been trying to kind of get a little bit further away from just strictly retros. They launched a bunch of new models like the Jordan 4 RM, the Trunner OS, and the Jordan Session. Some of them aim towards comfort, affordability, but honestly, I think this is where Jordan struggles a little bit. They rely so much on retro sneakers. I mean, it's kind of the whole brand. So when they try and move out of that, it seems like they really struggle with gaining popularity for their non-retro sneakers. And next year, it seems like the whole retro thing...
I'm not gonna lie, those shoes are actually pretty cool. What were they? Yeah, these right here. I'm actually gonna snap a picture of this because I might actually end up buying this. This was not planned, and I've already seen this video, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I missed this shoe. Like, let me know in the comments. Like, am I crazy? Are these shoes ugly? Because I actually think these shoes are pretty cool. But
sneakers. And next year, it seems like the whole retro thing is going to be another big trend for Jordan, another big push. Take a look at the release calendar for next.
And like the thing about Jordans is they have their own. The Jordan lineup is so iconic. Like obviously, just like what he mentioned, anytime they try to move out of that, they seem to struggle a little bit. But like he's gonna mention here shortly, the Travis Scott collabs, they do very well. So anytime they do collabs, that's based off of these more traditional designs, they still do well. But I think that's just because the Jordan shoes are so iconic. Like people just want that, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, they have strong brand.
Year, I mean, it's pretty stacked. The Jordan 4 Reds are coming back again. Jordan 6 Oreos, Flint 13s, Infrared 6s, Toro Bravo 4s, Wolf Grey 5s. They're even bringing back the Off-White collaboration, launching the Jordan 1, even though now it's slightly different.
Okay, yeah. This will definitely do good. I don't know if this is actually going to come out in 2026, but if the off-white, you know, the Virgil Abloh designs start coming back out for the Jordan brand, that is going to sell like crazy. They still sell like crazy in the uh, the resale market, right? And it's been so long. It's been like what 10 years since the originals came out. But yeah, this is going to be big for Nike. I'll just keep letting the video play.
Virtual Abloh archive collab. Either way, you guys get the point. There's going to be a ton more retros in 2026, and see that's where Jordan Brand is going to be pushing hardest. I think the question is whether this will really hit like it did here in 2025 or not. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys this, but Jordan retros on the whole, at least for the general public, have been declining in popularity. For us sneakerheads, it's always going to be a mainstay. But for the past few years, I mean, we've been seeing a lot more of these retro Jordans sit on shelves or head to outlets where they're heavily discounted. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out, at least for the general mass appeal. Okay, but we can't talk about Jordan Brand without talking about Nike. And boy, they're still struggling. 2025 was supposed to be the big year for Nike to kind of turn things around after all of the bad press that they had gotten from different outlets and news articles saying that they had lost touch with the consumers, they've lacked innovation, their sales have been going down, and recently another article came out where, yeah, it shows that they had a terrible day in the stock markets, their sales are plummeting out in China, they are getting absolutely ran through by tariffs. But despite all of this bad news, I actually am pretty optimistic about Nike for 2026. I actually think that they've done a really good job in 2025, specifically when it comes to their products. I'm not talking about the brand as a whole. I've been excited about more stuff in 2025 from Nike than I have been like since 2021. There's been some really cool developments in their running category where they've released Pegasus Premium, was a phenomenal sneaker. Some of the Vomero stuff and some of the more comfortable shoes that I've tried from them have been some of the most comfortable from anything. Some basketball line has had some absolute bangers in there.
Now, with these like more comfort type shoes, there's actually a pair of shoes that I'm surprised more people don't talk about, especially like in the sneaker community. But there's these pair of shoes that I got. It's the Nike Windflow 11 Gore-Tex, so it's on sale right now for about $100. I have the all white versions that are sold out. I actually bought two because that's how comfortable they are. But like these more like comfort type shoes from Nike and just other brands in general, I think they will continue to do very good. They continue to do very well, I should say. I need to speak better English sometimes, but like they're waterproof, they're Gore-Tex. They also look very nice. The black ones, I'm not sure if the black ones do it justice. I have the all white ones that look phenomenal, but this is somewhat similar to my all white ones. But as you guys can see, like I love the stitching on it. The Gore-Tex label, of course, and the sole is just so comfortable. And I don't know what it is about the bottom of it, but something about it just makes it even more comfortable. It's almost like you're walking on like cushion pins. I don't know how to explain it without you guys actually trying it, but you know, I'm surprised more people don't talk about those shoes. They're pretty comfortable. I would never wear the Jaws. I'm sorry. If anybody from Nike is watching this, I'm sorry, but I would never wear the Jaws. It's just not for me.
Extremely impressive. The Nike V5 Runner, one of my favorites from 2025, only $90. I love those things. So I hope that we see some more innovation in these kind of categories with Nike, but yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But they're obviously incentivized to be pushing new stuff, and I think they're going to. Now, I don't want to just go over all of the positives. There are some valid criticisms when it comes to Nike. A lot of people have been saying that their prices have been going up and their quality has been declining. A lot of people have noticed that they've started to become...
That's not just a trend with Nike. Not to excuse Nike, obviously. I hate when companies do that. but just companies in general, right? They've been shipping their manufacturing overseas for decades. They've been looking for cheaper alternatives, like cheaper labor, cheaper ingredients. When it comes to like food companies, they've been looking for cheaper ingredients. Clothing companies, cheaper materials. Instead of using real leather, it's synthetic leather, etc. So, it's not to excuse Nike, but it's been going on for decades.
Less of leaders when it comes to sneaker releases and more following trends from other brands. But I don't know. You let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. But honestly, if I had to put my money on anything, I'm going to say Nike's going to be doing some cool stuff in 2026. But hopefully, I don't eat my words on that.
All right, so this is a guy, once again, that's, very in tune with the sneaker community and like the fashion industry. He's even saying that he's excited for Nike in 2026. So, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, but my price target on Nike is $100, which is not exactly a 2x, but it's almost there.
Right. Nike we got to talk about their safest bet, Travis Scott. Man, if Nike sales are slumping, they just bring him into the fold. They push him out on some kind of product and they're all good. Now, a big thing this year has been kind of rumors of Travis Scott leaving Nike for Adidas. And I'm pretty sure he said that that's not happening, but man,
I think a lot of this, like, I'm going to leave this company or whatever, usually it's just for negotiation, right? Because they want bigger numbers, bigger percentages. So, if Travis Scott leaves Nike for Adidas, whatever he ends up making, as long as it looks decent, I'm sure it'll do great. But I don't think it'll ever do as good as the original Nike ones, right? That's just my personal opinion.
Could you imagine? Anyway, will the hype for Travis Scott and Travis Scott products continue into 2026? And the short answer, at least in my opinion, is yes, definitely. In fact, I kind of think that it might be bigger next year. So in 2025, we saw a big push from Travis Scott and Nike into specifically the Jumpman Jack and the Nike model, the Trail Jack, whatever that one was called. Those are his two brand new signature sneaker models. We saw a bunch of different colorways and collaborations on that one specifically, and we only got one Jordan 1. The interesting thing is that even did get a decent amount of these Jumpman Jack and Nike shoe colorways, none of them seemed to move the needle quite as much as his Jordan collaborations. And that was proven when they dropped the fragments and everybody went absolutely insane for those. It just reminded us all what Travis Scott hype is really like. And I also feel like it's given Nike and Travis Scott a lot of data in 2025 because next year it seems like they are pivoting away from the Jumpman Jack and the Nike shoe and back towards the Jordan collabs. So based off of the rumors and the release calendars, we know that
So pivoting back to these Jordan collabs, definitely, 2026, they're going to come out with the Shy Pink. I guess this is what this flyer is saying. Triple black, I imagine those will do very well. So pink and black, or all whites, or like classic colorways like this blue one right here, they tend to do good. But yeah, more of these collabs in 2026, definitely going to add to hype all around Nike. It's going to add to their numbers.
Calendars, we know that we're going to be getting that Shy Pink pack. That's two different colorways on the Jordan 1 Low model. There's even talks of another Jordan 1 High going to be releasing.
That's going to do very well. That right there, this right here, this is going to do very well. I mean, they look beautiful, these shoes right here. It's everything you love about the Jordan, just with that slight, Travis Scott touch to it. So it's going to do very well.
There's also potential for other Jordan models as well. We've heard the leaks and rumors of a Jordan 3 or a Jordan 7. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking at this point it's getting a little bit repetitive. And to some extent, I agree with you. But the numbers don't lie. Every single time this man does a Jordan collab, it breaks the internet. So if it ain't broke, why would they do anything else? And very clearly, people are nowhere near as hyped for his signature sneaker models as they are for a Jordan 1 or any other Jordan collab. So yeah, because of all of that, I would just expect to see more of the same kind of next year. But another big
sipping on that Celsius for my Pepsi dividends, of course. Sipping on that Celsius.
That's an interesting one for 2026. Arguably the biggest collaborator in sneakers in 2025. I mean, he pretty much unanimously won Sneaker of the Year.
Yeah, these right here, I mean, I would love a pair of these. The bricks, man. And he's going to get into it, but they plan on another collaboration with Nigel Sylvester. So, if everything surrounding the classic Virgil Off-White collabs making a comeback, the Travis Scotts, the Nigel Sylvesters, man, like all these, combine that with all the comfort shoes that they've been coming out with, like the Vomeros and like the ones that you just saw me show you guys. If Nike keeps cranking these out, all right, turning the company back around on the right track with their new CEO, then definitely, 2026 is going to be a decent year for Nike, I think.
For his brick-by-brick fours, and by the looks of it, he's got some big plans for 2026. I mean, just for starters, it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't capitalize on
Nike, if you're watching this, send me a pair of something in 2026, man. I know I have no subscribers and no pull, but like, come on, please.
all of the hype or attention that he's getting in 2025. That should definitely carry through to the next year, and I'm sure they've got a ton planned, but as of right now, we know of one main one that's going to be dropping, which is his new colorway of the Jordan 4, and I mean, I think those ones are going to be huge because, well, they're beautiful, but I do think there's going to be a ton more, and I think we're going to see a lot more versatility from him to trying different...
I also think, I don't know if he covers it in this video, but I noticed a shift towards quality. Right. So for the last few decades, we've seen this trend of lowering quality to increase margins, manufacturing in cheaper countries with cheaper ingredients, cheaper materials. That trend has gone on. But now I think we're going to start seeing the opposite of that. So people want things that actually last. People don't want things that break after like two uses. People are tired of cheaper materials. They want the classics back. Right. And this whole trend and I also think, like, whether you agree with this or not, but this political movement of like more bring jobs back home, right, manufacturing back home, making companies that have their identity tied to a country, make it more nationalistic, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but for example, like Burberry's a British brand, like make it British again, right? I hate using like that Trump that saying, I guess, because I don't want this to be a political channel, but like making American companies American again, making American products high quality again, things like that, things of that nature. And I think we're going to see that trend in each country, right? The Japanese and all the Asian countries, I'm sure they have their own brands and companies that are going to go that route. Like I gave the example with Burberry. I think a lot of their stuff is made overseas. A lot of Japanese clothing is also made overseas. I mean, every company makes stuff overseas, in any country that's cheaper than the one that their home country is in. But I think we'll see that shift back towards making things at home and making them high quality to have like more pride in their work and also making things that last. So I think the quality of Nike shoes will actually go up. I don't know how that will do for margins, but I do know like people that are very into sneakers and people that are in the market for shoes, they will go for quality, right, over quantity, especially during times of struggle, like how I think we're going to, like what I think we're going to see in more, like in the near future. I think we're going to see, people really pull back and really be picky about what they buy. So
different Jordan models and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But Nigel Sylvester, big one for 2026. All right, let's escape the whole Nike Jordan route. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about the next trend, which I think is going to be pretty big in 2026, and that is chunky sneakers. Now this one's slightly weird because calling it a trend, I don't think is completely accurate. I mean, when chunky sneakers first became a thing like that was a few years ago now, but it kind of dropped off when the whole like low profile slim shoe thing came in, and that was a huge trend. But now I think chunky shoes are a little bit less of a trend and more of a mainstay, but I do think it's worth calling them a trend for, this video. Now, what we have seen in 2025 are the rumblings of a huge resurgence of chunky sneakers, and I do think Adidas and the Pharrell jellyfish are largely responsible. I think that sneaker in particular is going to have a huge year in 2026. I mean, we kind of got a little taste here in 2025, but that's going to be a massive one for next year. Now, not only that one, but they also introduced the Squid, I think they call it, or the Adistar XLG 3.0, I think it is at this point. whatever the name is, that affordable breakdown version of the jellyfish, which only got a very, very small launch a couple weeks ago. It is penciled in for a January release to have its like main global one, and I think that's going to be an extremely popular model. Now, other than those two shoes, Adidas does have a full line of XLG or chunky shoes that they offer on their website. We have the XLG Runner, the XLG Samba, the Campus shoes all come in chunky variations. Those are all incredibly popular. And even though I do believe that Adidas is kind of at the forefront with these chunky styles, a lot of other brands have also jumped on as well. Puma has a lot of chunky versions of their sneakers. Vans, obviously, with the New School, incredibly popular model. And there's a ton. I don't really need to go over all of it, but I do think chunky...
This whole like chunky sneakers trend, I don't think it's going to be as big as like other things Nike has cooking up. But Nike has some chunky sneakers. I think they made that crazy looking Jordan triple stack one, and I'm not really into it. Maybe some people are, but I don't think it's going to be that big. But let me skip ahead a little bit. Something for Vans. Vans is a small holding for me. But yeah, so Vans has some cool stuff cooking up. I think it will be exciting for people that are specifically into these types of shoes. But Vans also has some interesting stuff coming.
Seeing 3D printed shoes in store is pretty crazy, but obviously the leaders of this space.
Oh yeah, and more 3D printed shoes. I fully expect more 3D printed shoes. The biggest issue right now is the materials and the wait time, like when it comes to 3D printed shoes. But I fully expect Nike to come out with another one.
Has to be Zellerfeld. And I think what they did with Nike kind of proved how successful 3D.
I want these so bad.
Printed shoes can be with the 95,000s and obviously the Air Max 1000. Zellerfeld is pretty unique in this aspect where they offer a lot of opportunity to smaller creators who want to get involved into 3D printing their own shoes. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Independent designers and different content creators and stuff like that creating their own sneaker models. I do also think that a lot of other brands are going to follow suit and use Zellerfeld's platform to create some more of these sneakers. I think it's really great tech, but I do also understand that it's hard to kind of wrap your head around these shoes unless you experience the comfort and feel it in hand, because it is truly crazy. Either way, I said this is a speed run, so let's keep on going. Next one, Yeezy. I do think that there's a big potential for Yeezy to have a pretty big comeback in 2026. So obviously not as we used to know it. As
this is kind of off topic, but I actually think Yeezy and Kanye West in 2026, as long as the market continues to do well, should definitely at least try to IPO if he wants to, right? I mean, it is Kanye's, at least I think it's Kanye's company fully. But I definitely think, like, whenever I go on the Yeezy website, the prices are impressive. Like, they're very affordable, but the wait times are very large. But another thing that I noticed that was very interesting about the Yeezy website was they have their own crypto wallet that I thought was very fascinating. So I think Kanye West, or Ye's doing a lot of really cool stuff with the Yeezy company, and in 2026, as long as asset prices continue to do well, I think if he wants to, should try to go for an IPO. Maybe only give up 40% of his company or whatnot, just to free up some liquidity, make some money, become an even wealthier individual. But selfishly, I also would like to own some Nike, or not Nike stock. I have a lot of Nike stock, but Yeezy stock, right? And the ticker should be YZY. YZY should be the ticker for Yeezy. But definitely, if he plans on IPOing, I will definitely be trading that, and trading, not investing, because when I fully expect more IPOs to hit in 2026, and similar to 2021, the companies that IPO'd in 2021, they were very volatile and they made a lot of money in the short term. But obviously 2022, 2023, those companies were down like 80-90%. And obviously I was able to snag up Robinhood at $10 a share. But I will trade, if Yeezy IPOs, I'll trade it at the start. But then, over the long term, I'll wait for it to kind of cool off, and then I'll accumulate. But yes, that was very off topic and very speculative, but I really want Yeezy to consider an IPO.
The Adidas collaboration, but the independent Yeezy. This year in 2025, they've rebuilt their entire website. They offer a ton of clothing and footwear for extremely affordable prices. Kind of shocked the world when they launched their Yeezy slides for $20, the ones that are identical to the $250 Adidas ones. I've tried the clothing and different products from them, and honestly, it's pretty impressive for the price tag. In 2026, it looks like they're going to be bringing back a lot of the other, Yeezy sneakers from their archive. Like I think the first one that we should see a release of is the Yeezy 950 boots. Yay.
I fully expect these to go crazy when they drop. I think a lot of people are excited about this.
Wearing that and teasing that, and it's also in all of the imagery on their website. So that's a potential launch. That definitely opens up the door for other Yeezy archive products to appear on this super affordable website. We can't really call it $20 now, but a lot of it is $20. But yeah, overall, I think if they can fix their shipping issues, the issues that basically mean it takes an entire year for you to receive what you actually bought from the website.
So this is what I was talking about, how you can pay traditionally. You can pay using PayPal. You can use credit card, debit cards. You can use Apple Pay. You can use USDC, which is the American dollar stable coin on Solana. You can also use Yeezy crypto. So like I said, I think Ye is doing a lot of interesting stuff with Yeezy, the company. But yeah, consider an IPO, because it would be very interesting to sell that stock, right? That company, because you have an influencer, celebrity. You can't even call him an influencer, because Kanye West is a cultural icon. You have one of the biggest artists ever backing this company. This is his company with his clothing line, but also the crypto behind it and all the other cool stuff he's doing in the background. It would be an interesting sell, definitely, and I think it would get a lot of excitement. But
if they can fix that, then I think a lot more people will be willing to actually try something from this website. Another big trend, and I think this one's going to go pretty crazy in 2026, and that is hybrid shoes. So what I mean by that is
hybrid shoes, he's going to get into it, but it's something that I've noticed for many, many years now. Mostly in the past 5 years though. So in the past 5 years, I've been noticing a lot of people wearing dress shoes that are also running shoes. So like the top part of it will be an actual dress shoe, like what you would see people wear, weddings, to church, in a professional setting, like at workplace, right, in the office. But the bottom part of it is like a running shoe, right? Like it looks like something you could run in. And I think this trend will continue. And I'll let him explain it because I'm going to play the video anyway.
These kind of lifestyle running shoe crossover sneakers that we've seen a bunch of brands kind of prioritize and release in 2025. So a lot of these sportswear brands have kind of clocked how a lot of people wear running shoes casually because they're kind of the most comfortable shoes that you can get. So what they've done is kind of adapted a lot of these performance running shoes into something that you can actually wear casually. I think it's a big part of why Nike did so well with their running line. I mean, the Pegasus Premium, almost to runners, seems like a casual shoe more than it is just a running shoe. Got the Vomero Plus, the Vomero 18, incredibly comfortable everyday shoes. But I think Adidas arguably takes the crown when
Nike, if you're watching this, send me a pair of Vomeros, please. The premium ones with the, oh man, where are they?
Everyday shoes. But I think Adidas arguably, I think it's a big part of why Nike did so well with their running line. I mean, the Pegasus Premium.
These are not these right here, but
like a casual shoe more than it is just a running shoe. Got the Vomero Plus, the Vomero.
The Vomeros that have that highlight sole but is like mostly white, that's the one I want. These are pretty cool too though. I wouldn't mind these.
Comfortable everyday shoes. But I think Adidas arguably takes the crown when it comes to this with the insanely popular Evo SL. This, from its inception, was marketed as a running and lifestyle sneaker. In all of their marketing, they say you can wear it running or just wear it, around the town with different outfits. And it shows in the design of this pair of shoes. I mean, it's so good looking that it makes sense that it's something you can just rock casually. And it seems they're really going to be leaning into this in 2026 because they've announced some other models that are definitely more towards the casual wear. They've got like a zipper version, they've got the exoskeleton version, and then the all-terrain one that they just launched is also pretty great for casual wear. Now, obviously, a ton of other brands have been doing this. It's not just Nike and Adidas. New Balance released the Fresh Foam Trainer, which is quite literally a lifestyle shoe upper with a running shoe midsole. So yeah, I think a lot more brands are going to start prioritizing these hybrid shoes because it is such a popular option for so many people. And that definitely leads into the next trend, which I think might be one of the biggest out of all of these, and that is people opting for comfort. Now, kind of a trend, or kind of just consumers realizing the importance of comfort, or just how much they appreciate it. This whole shift of consumers really prioritizing comfort is arguably why the retro runner boom has been so massive. I mean, for brands like Asics and New Balance, it's almost their entire business is selling these retro runners. And that's obviously forced a lot of other brands to try and play catch up, like Nike and Adidas, bringing back some of their old retro runners from the archives. But in short, I cannot see this trend going away for the foreseeable future. I think it's one of those things that, like, when you realize when you start wearing comfortable shoes, there's no going back. You're not doing a full day of walking and standing on your feet in something really nice and cozy like a pair of Asics Kayano 14s or Vomero Pluses and...
These right here, Nike, please send me something, man. I mean, I'll appreciate anything.
You know, feeling that comfort and then going back to jamming your foot into something that's like super, you know, tight leather. And
yeah, the days of these types of shoes, I think, will be gone. They're not going to be fully gone, obviously. Like, people will wear it in certain occasions, you know, maybe like to cosplay or to go to like specific events, special occasions. But the days of people wearing these like normally, like as an everyday wear, are done. Like, if it even ever was a thing. But I think if anybody hasn't seen like those types of dress shoes that have the running soles, like, just take a second to Google them, because they are super cool and I would love a pair. But it's just, it would be so easy, or you would think it'd be so easy to just take this top part right here and put it on a running bottom, right? And you could still wear it to church, you could still wear it to work, or you know, to weddings, whatever, but it would be just much more comfortable, you know, instead of walking on a pair of bricks. Not bricks, the Nigel Sylvester's, but
rubber outsole. You're not doing that. So yes, I think retro runners is still going to be absolutely massive in 2026. It just really is, where can these brands take this whole thing? What are they going to introduce that's new?
And I'll show you guys in just a second, but Nike actually does have a pair of dress shoes that I want so bad, but they're so expensive on the aftermarket.
That's the biggest question. But you know what else is going to be a massive trend? The subscribe button. Now is the...
Okay, yeah. But yeah, by the way, you know, subscribe to this dude, especially if you are not just a Nike shareholder, but, you know, even if you're not a Nike shareholder, if you own any like clothing related stocks, any shoe related stocks, right? If you prefer let's say Lululemon and Adidas stock over Nike, you know, I think this dude is still worth a follow, because he's just very knowledgeable with the fashion space and just like footwear in general. So definitely, even if you're not a Nike shareholder, you know, let's say you hold Lululemon, some what's it called, American Eagle with Sydney Sweeney, I still think it is or his channel is very, very good. But there's this other video, speaking of Nike dress shoes.
One of these people are literally calling the worst trend of 2025. Let's find out. First up, what could be the best basketball...
By the way, this video is titled Worst Trend of 2025, but I want every single one of these shoes. Every single one.
Of 2025. Shea 001.
The Shays, dude. The Shays, man. Like, if any of you guys don't yet know, Nike owns Converse, and they dropped the Shays, and man, they're so simple but so cool, right?
Man, these are just beautiful, just simple.
He even said man just like me. That's crazy.
Next, these are just straight up wild. The Jordan 1 Element.
Oh, these right here. Okay, so I don't have these, but I do have Vans Ultra range. So kind of also connecting to the previous video when he talks about people opting for hybrid and comfort shoes. So for the longest, you know, people have been wearing Vans, the classic basic Vans that feel like you're walking on a pair of bricks, right? The ones that skaters use. But what I never really was into Vans, but once I discovered the ultra ranges, definitely, right? Because the ultra ranges are like the comfort version of the traditional brand of Vans. And it looks very similar to this Nike shoe, where the top part is, the top part is just Vans, right? It's that classic line with the Vans design, but the bottom part is literally a running shoe. And I don't see a lot of people talk about it or wear them, which is surprising because people complain all the time about their shoes being uncomfortable, but they don't buy comfortable shoes. It's just, I don't understand, and they're just not aware of it, right? Recently, I had my hair cut, and people were asking me about my Vans Ultra ranges because they have Vans shoes, and they love buying Vans, but they just don't know about the Ultra ranges because they're a little bit late to the trend. But I'm not saying I'm a trendsetter, but I kind of am, and I'm usually early to things, like whether it's buying Robinhood stock or wearing Ultra ranges. I'm that guy, I guess. But I would love these. Nike, if you're listening, I want these.
Massively beefed up with this huge all-terrain outsole that even has the regular Jordan 1 outsole peeking through. They're now entirely waterproof with Gore-Tex, and you know what? They're actually kind of sick. Next, we got shoes that resell for thousands. Oh man, this is the Air Max 1000 in
I want these so bad.
what could be the coolest colorway. Yes, Nike's very first fully 3D printed shoe that the last release of got absolutely cooked and are reselling for like $1,000. Good news is they're now releasing this colorway on the 16th of October. Highly recommend entering up because this is definitely one of Nike's best this year. But next up is definitely up for debate. It's the Nike dress shoe, which also comes in black. So yes, Nike has now jumped on the whole.
So these dress shoes, just like what he was talking about in the previous video and what I've been talking about, this trend of hybrid shoes and people still wanting, right, the classics, but wanting a comfortable version of it. I think this is a trend that is going to stick and is not going to slow down. I don't know how these dress shoes did. I've never even heard of them until I've seen this video. So I don't know if they did very well or not, but I think doing these types of products where it's like a dress shoe but a comfortable bottom will definitely boost Nike, and I think more athletic wear companies like Nike are going to benefit from this trend, obviously, because they've always been making quote unquote comfortable shoes, right? They've always been making sportswear. So the general public is shifting more towards sportswear, athleisure, more hybrid type of shoes. This is only going to benefit companies like Nike, Adidas, and whatnot that have already been making athletic wear and more comfortable shoes, right? So definitely, and by the way, I want these so bad.
Sneaker loafer trend that has been very controversial this year. I'm not gonna lie, they kind of killed these. They're incredibly premium with nice leather, metal hardware, and an air unit in the actual heel. But the question is, would you wear any?
Yes, I would wear all of these. To answer your question, I would wear all of them. But to move on from these YouTube videos and to get into the nitty-gritty fundamentals of Nike, I use Grok for basically everything now. It's just so much simpler. I used to go on Yahoo Finance, Seeking Alpha, and I still use Seeking Alpha a little bit for some things whenever I need something that's exact, right? An exact data point. But Grok and AI in general have made things so much easier, and honestly, we're so spoiled now. But you guys can copy this prompt in I'm sure it would work in Gemini and OpenAI, whatnot. But this is Grok, and this is the prompt that I used. And this is also the same prompt that I reuse anytime I need to analyze any other stock other than Nike, right? But as of right now, their free cash flow per share is about $2.20. Free cash flow per share, a 5-year average, is around 3 to 350, so slightly down. And I want to say they tagged the fours in previous years. So let's see, Free cash flow per share, yeah, they did tag 436 previously. Whenever we start getting back up there, right, I fully expect with Nike turning things around, continuing to buy back stock, and just increasing their business in general, turning their business around, we could definitely get back up to the 4s, the 5s, maybe even the 6s. And at that point, I'm basically buying it for a 10% free cash flow yield, which is similar to when I was buying Robinhood. Obviously, back when I was buying Robinhood, it was a 10% free cash flow yield, whereas now, a $3, $3 on 60, that's what, a 5% free cash flow yield. So it's not exactly Robinhood, and I don't expect Nike to outperform Robinhood over the next 20 years, but definitely it's not the worst stock in the world. People buy boring boomer stocks just because it has a 5% yield. People will buy real estate because it has a 5% yield, but I'm getting that on one of the best companies and one of the best brands ever. So and their dividend per share is $1.64. And so obviously they can afford that. 5-year revenue trend is 4%, so they're still growing revenues. Tangible book value per share is positive, so it's about $9 a share. So their balance sheet is healthy. Price to sales is about 2. Return on capital is about 14%, so definitely above average. 5-year share count trend, that is very difficult to say for some reason. It has been decreasing. So, and Grok says consistent share buybacks, reducing outstanding shares about 2 to 3% annually. So that is definitely good to see. Short interest is typical for a company like this. Most companies have a short interest of about 3%. So not really something that sticks out to me. And just some other things I like to look at are stuff like this: the Piper Sandler Teen Survey, fall 2025. So obviously it's not the most recent data, but it tends to be about the same each survey. And one thing you'll notice is Nike is usually up there when it comes to the top websites, shopping websites, the top clothing brands, the top footwear brands. Nike just completely dominates. I mean, look at this. Top footwear brands, Nike, 46%. Number 2 is Adidas at 14%, right? So it's not even a competition, right? I mean, Adidas and New Balance combined doesn't even overtake Nike, right? So completely dominating it when it comes to clothing brands. Nike's number 1. Number 2 and 3, Hollister and Brandy. I don't even know what Brandy is, but you combine 2 and 3, it still doesn't overtake Nike, right? Obviously, Amazon dominates when it comes to shopping websites, but Nike at number 2 at 5%. Definitely, when all they really sell is sportswear and footwear. So I think it's very impressive. And the last thing that I wanted to show you guys is this chart right here that I posted earlier today. It's from Cross Border Capital, and this chart is basically global liquidity. And as you can see right here, we had liquidity crunch, expand. So this was going into the GFC, and then this bubble popping and whatnot that was coming out of GFC, right? And then going back up, we had like this I guess you could say stagnant period for liquidity. And if you take a look back at the stock market, during 2011, we had that period of consolidation, right? This drop in liquidity going into December 2018. So we had that December 2018 correction in the stock market. And then we had liquidity expanding going into 2021. So this was the crypto hype, the NFT hype, IPO frenzy. When liquidity was expanding, liquidity contracting going into 2023. This was the Fed increasing interest rates, the stock market going down, overall liquidity going down. Some of it was to fight inflation, of course, right? And now liquidity has been expanding. So stock market has been going up. Crypto has been going up a little bit. Obviously, gold and silver have been pumping like crazy. But I think we still possibly could see a leg higher. We could also be stagnant, just like what we saw in 2011. But I think there's still a possibility for stocks to go up a little bit more in 2026. But I fully expect going into like later half 2026, 2027, we're going to see some contraction.